We're just praying right now that we do not get interrupted by our 3-year-old.
Don't know what's going to happen.
He's in the other room watching a show, so.
Yeah. But anyway.
It's good.
So today I want to share something that was just really fascinating discovery that I heard. And I think it might be for you as well. But so the first iPhone came out June 29th of 2007. Cost $500. Now,
I remember when those came out, and it was like, oh my gosh,
the
I could
iPhone.
just have an iPhone. Well, and
it was a
the
big deal.
way you bought phones was very different back then.
Yeah.
You couldn't just go buy one. You had to like go through your carrier and everything.
Yeah, so 2007, that comes out, it's $500. Okay, so here's the thing, is what happens if you turn that $500, instead of buying the iPhone, you just buy Apple stock in 2007, okay? So had you done that, it would be worth...
Oh, how much?
$15,000, about $15,000 right now. So that is interesting, okay? So let's just keep this going. Back to the iPod. Remember the iPod?
Oh, boy.
So that came out in October of 2001. That was $400.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so had you taken that $400 and bought Apple stock instead of buying an iPod, that would be worth $158,000.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay.
I mean, it would be interesting to see how much an iPod, an original iPod, is worth at this point.
I mean,
but I
don't
can't
know.
imagine that it's $158,000.
No, I'm sure it's not. Okay, and then we'll just go back even further. Let's look at the first Mac, which came out in January of 1984, $2,500, a lot of money then.
Oh, no.
But if you would have invested that in Apple stock at that point, it would be worth nearly $2 million at this point.
Gosh.
So all of this, like when I first saw this and read this, I'm like, oh, this is really interesting. But it reminded me of one of the most impactful investing and financial lessons that I've ever learned in my entire life. Came from Robert Kiyosaki, and it's 2 words: buy assets. And it's so simple, but the idea is, when at all possible, put your money into things that are going to increase in value rather than things that are going to decrease. Now, most of us every day, we have to spend money on things that are going to decrease in value. Every time we buy food,
toilet paper,
we pay our bills, whatever.
Toothpaste.
All of that is going to decrease and worth nothing, right? And we need to do that.
We need to do that. So the idea is not only buy assets.
Well, yeah, of course.
Because
It's
you
just
have
not
to buy
realistic.
other things, right?
But as much as you can, buy assets. Put money into things that are going to grow and increase in value. And this, I remember it was nearly 20 years ago when I heard Robert Kiyosaki say this, and it's like, and I just grabbed a hold of it and we began doing it. And honestly, like that lesson ultimately led to us paying off our house, which we'll get to in just a minute. But
yeah, we talk a lot about paying off our house, and there was a little bit of strategy. There's 2
different
You made some
payoffs.
smart moves. I went along with
there's 2
them.
different home payoffs as well, which you've heard us, you've probably heard us talk about it. So there's 2 different things. So in St. Louis, we paid off that house, and that house, they both were miraculous, but that was a whole nother story. We have another podcast. You can listen to that one about. This one is, once we moved to Franklin, we ended up taking out another mortgage because houses are a lot more expensive here.
Yeah.
And that house, we paid off.
And we had a bigger house here and everything.
Yeah, it was a little bit bigger. But so anyway, all the stuff with the Apple products that we're talking about here, and again, I'm not saying don't ever buy any products and only buy the stock, but it's just something interesting to think about. Like, what happens if the next time you find a remarkable product that you buy the stock instead of buying the product?
Well, what I really love about this too is that, in 2007, I didn't have $500 in 2007. We didn't really have $500 to put towards a new iPhone. And especially because it was more of an exclusive product and we couldn't get it with our carrier, right?
Yeah.
So it was exclusively with AT&T and we were on Verizon at the time. So what is cool about this is that you don't have to kind of be in that club and have access to everything to be able to buy the stock, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that
and not only that, if you didn't have $500, if you only had $350, you can still put that in and still see some massive benefits from it.
Yeah, so, and that depends on where you're investing. There are certain places that will allow you to buy partial shares of a stock. Not all of them, and actually a lot of them don't. And we go into this in our 10x investing course. So if that is, and I'll talk more about that in a minute, but yeah, like you can buy partial shares, and that's what we definitely did at the beginning. Because another company that I loved investing in was Berkshire Hathaway, which is Warren Buffett's company.
Right.
Warren Buffett and I disagree very strongly on a handful of things, but his skill and acumen as an investor is just, he's off the charts. It's unbelievable. So
you've learned a lot from him.
Oh yeah. And anyway, so that question of what happens if I buy the stock rather than the product has just been a question that served me well as an investor over the years, and this is what we did with Tesla.
Yes.
And so I
yeah,
remember,
kind of going back.
Yeah,
talking
I
about
remember. I'm
house.
guessing it was probably 2011 or something. Like I was hearing more and more about Elon Musk and what he was doing with Tesla, and anyway, and I began researching this company and finding out more and more, and I realized, all right, this dude's just crazy. He's crazy, and he's either going to be right and it's going to be a huge win, or he's going to be wrong and it's probably be a flop.
Yeah.
And and that's part of the risk reward strategic thing of buying individual stocks. Now, for most investors, and especially new investors, we recommend an index fund strategy where you build a foundation of index funds that are less volatile than if you're buying individual stocks. But all that to say, we invest in some stocks, and it's a good thing to do if you're willing to spend the effort and energy to do a little bit of homework on them. But anyway, so Elon, I remember like digging into him, finding out more, and realizing, man, this could be really, really big. Like he might be able to pull this off. And anyway, and so we invested a decent chunk in Tesla at that point. And at that point, like I wanted to buy one. Like I wanted a Tesla really bad. But I remember kind of making a deal with myself. It's like, all right, here's what you do. You invest in Tesla. If it works out, hopefully you'll be able to buy a Tesla with your Tesla stock.
Yeah.
And so just wait until you make enough money from your Tesla stock to buy a Tesla. And so fast forward a few years later, and Tesla was just kind of up and down because of, it's just really, really hard. Like basically in the last 100 years, Tesla is the only new auto manufacturer because it's such a hard industry to get into.
That's crazy.
Or auto manufacturer that's actually succeeded and lasted, because so many have come and gone over and over again. So it's just a very, very difficult industry. And he had a really, really hard time for a couple of years. Tesla really struggled, but now they finally, as anyone knows, like they're doing really well, and they're manufacturing at scale and whatever else. But I guess it would have been 3 or 4 years ago. Like we check our investments. Like I believe in like completely passive investing. That's just my approach. I'm not somebody who wants to sit and look at screens for 4 hours a day and look at all these charts and stuff. Like I believe in buying index funds or buying companies that I can buy and hold for 10 years and that are going to do well without me looking at them all the time. So we check our investments one time a year, and that's it. So anyway, I remember checking 1 year and seeing what had happened, and like Tesla's done really, really great. And then all of a sudden, like somewhere in this conversation, I realized, wait a minute, we could sell not even all of our Tesla shares and pay off the rest of our house.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's interesting. And I think I came to you and said, hey, what do you think about this?
I think we were both really excited about it.
Yeah, I mean,
like it was we were both kind of weighing, because it's like, well, do we want to sell it because it can turn into more?
Yeah.
Or
and it's gone up a lot since we've sold a bunch, but but I don't regret that move.
I don't regret it either.
Because like we still own some, and we have a paid off house.
And we have a paid off house.
So that was really
not bad.
Yeah, that was really, really fun. But the point in all of this is, I still don't have a Tesla. I want one, and it's on my list that we will get one at some point.
Yeah.
But we have a paid off house, and we have a Honda, and I'm cool with that.
That Honda takes a licking and keeps on ticking. That thing has been beat up, but man, it's still hanging around.
Yeah.
We're still taking it on road trips and everything else. So.
Yeah. So. Anyway, all this to say, I just want to share that little thought and that nugget. Somebody out there listening, I think, might take this concept and run with it. And I do recommend, like, I don't know, if you don't have much of a investing education at this point, I recommend joining our 10X investing course.
Yeah.
It's great absolutely great for beginners. Like it take you from knowing nothing to going through, giving you the foundational understanding that you need to know as an investor. Like I'm not a fan of creating courses that just dump so much content on you that you don't need to know. And so I always tell our students, I'm like, I put just as much thought into what's not included in this course as what is, just because that's where we live. I was like, we don't have time to watch 50 hours of lessons. Like no one wants that.
Right.
But I did everything I could to give you exactly what you need, and then give you stuff to be able to look over my shoulder and watch as I do exactly what you need to do to get started investing. So you can literally watch down to the buttons to press, how to make your first investment and how to build really an investment portfolio, or whatever. That's a fancy investing word. But the point is like things that you own, investments and assets that you own.
But what's so
the
cool
right way
is if you
with
do
wisdom.
this course, then you can say, "Oh yes, I have an investment portfolio."
Or if you're
It'll sound really cool.
If you're Gen Z, you can say my bag. That's
is that
what
what
Gen
they say?
Z loves to say.
Okay,
This is what I
my
got my
bag.
bag.
I can't keep up.
So anyway, yeah. So we'd love to have you in that course if you want
Yeah.
to join. Yeah, we currently are running at a little bit of a discount, so we'll have a link in the description so you can check that out if you're interested in joining us. But yeah. So.
Yeah.
What is the? Are we going to read
Yeah, let's read a podcast review. I mean, this is just if you listen to this podcast regularly, would you consider leaving us a review? Because it really is super helpful.
Well,
getting the word out.
And we're gonna bribe. Is it a bribe? I guess it's not really a bribe.
Bribe.
But we are gonna like. Here's what we're
Forcing
gonna
them.
do. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna give this person a $25 Amazon gift card.
Okay.
For leaving reviews. And I think we're gonna start doing this more often. Why not?
Yeah.
So there's no guarantee that you're going to get one if you do leave a review. But if we read your review on here, then just reach out to us, send us a message. Because like these reviews, like we don't have your email address, so it's like we need you to get in contact with us.
Yes.
But if you do that, we would, we'll send you an Amazon gift card. So let's read this person. Who is it?
So this is Madam Carolyn, and it says, I needed to switch my mindset on my relationship with money, and having faith as a foundation is something new to me. I'm so glad I found this podcast. Your May 23rd, 2022 episode had me choked up because it's so parallel to the storm we're about to go through in our careers. You increased my faith so much.
Awesome.
I love
That's
to hear
great.
that.
That's so great. So, Madam Caroline, send us an email.
Please send us an email.
You can do lauren@seedtime.com. Send a message over to her, and we will get you that $25 Amazon gift card. Thank you for leaving a review.
Yep.
And yeah, I second what you say. So the reviews are super helpful. I mean, you probably know this, but it just helps other people find the podcast, and we're thankful. We appreciate it.
Yeah, and if you've talked to anybody recently about wanting to, like they've been wanting to learn how to invest or whatever, please send this episode to them.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll be interesting.
Yeah, it's just,
helpful.
there's so many because my history with investing, I grew up just being terrified of investing, like just assuming that investing in the stock market was just no different than going to a casino and rolling the dice or pulling the slot machine.
Yeah.
It's like you have no idea what's going to happen. And if you don't know what you're doing, that is kind of where you could
feels
be.
like
But that's the beauty, is you get educated, you learn, and then that risk is reduced. So the more you educate yourself, the more you learn about how to invest wisely, it becomes less of a risk.
And you really, I feel like you really know how to explain it in a way that people who are unfamiliar with a lot of the terms can understand it, like
That's
me.
the goal. That is the goal.
Which, I think that's super helpful because to me, it's like, you're just super intimidated because I was like, I don't know anything about this.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like equipped to make good decisions. And I wanted to. But so yes.
Thanks,
you.
dear. Appreciate it. All right.
You're welcome for being your filter.
All right. That's all for today. See you in the next one.
See ya. We really love creating fresh content for you each week, but if you have not checked out our book, Simple Money, Rich Life, this really is our best work, and we have some free resources we want to tell you about.
So if you enjoy listening to our soothing voices, then you can download Chapter 1 of the audiobook.
And if you prefer to read, we have the first 2 chapters of the ebook version.
Or we even have a 5-week book study outline based on this book. And you can download all of this for free at seedtime.com/sample.